stood as the tallest structure ever built on Earth. Welcome to the Modern Marvels landmark known as the Sears Tower. We find the beginnings of this mythical cloudbuster in 1886 in the town of North Redwood, Minnesota, where a bored railroad station agent named Richard W. Cears started a small mail-order business. In Chicago, he partnered with a watchmaker named Alva C. Roebuck, and together they created a catalog business that catered to farmers. 82 years later, in 1968, Sears, Roebuck & Company had grown into a mammoth corporation with over 7,000 employees in the Chicago area alone. It was then that Sears decided to bring everyone together under one very tall roof. A 3-acre site in the Chicago Garment District was chosen, and the noted architectural firm of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill was hired. Bruce Graham, an innovative and outspoken architect, and Fazlur Khan, a modest but brilliant structural engineer, were charged with designing the project. The two were eating lunch one afternoon when they hit on an idea.
We were pursuing the idea of the bundled tube system, and Faz was trying to describe this to Bruce. And finally Bruce says, "I think I understand what you're saying." And Bruce was a smoker and took out his pack of cigarettes and took out a number of cigarettes and kind of held them in his hand and had them coming to different heights and asked Faz if this in fact was his idea. And Faz said, "That's exactly right."
And so the tower would begin with a base of 9 tubes. 2 of the tubes would end at the 50th floor. 2 more tubes would end at the 66th floor. And 3 tubes would drop off at the 90th floor, leaving 2 remaining tubes to proceed to the top. The bundled tubes, as well as the ingenious use of step-backs, set the Sears Tower design apart from earlier skyscrapers. Breaking records was just an afterthought.
The decision to become the tallest building was not part of the initial program. But as you started to build floors that were smaller than the 50,000 square foot Sears floors, you started to build smaller ones to attract tenants. You started to push upward to encompass the 3.5 million square feet.
And so the Skidmore, Owings & Merrill team found themselves with a structure that was flirting with a world record.
I went into a meeting with most of the Sears executives, in which there were a number of cardboard models. And then out of a bag, Bruce, who was the consummate salesman, pulled out this walnut model and put it on the table and suggested that we were so close to the ultimate, so close to the world's tallest building, that we should consider going for the brass ring.
Ground was broken in August of 1970. By midwinter, work on the foundation site was well underway. In June of 1971, with the Sears Tower foundation firmly in place, the ironworkers arrived to begin work on the massive skeleton. As the building climbed ever higher, workers found themselves fighting the forces of nature in their struggle to claim their share of the Chicago sky. They found that the weather at the top of the building could be drastically different from that on the ground, with freezing temperatures and dangerous winds. Yet even under harsh conditions, the monolithic structure continued on its journey to the top of the world. Finally, on a cold and windy May 3rd of 1973, a painted white beam signed by over 15,000 Sears employees and construction workers was ceremoniously hoisted up the building, 1,450 feet into the sky. With the job of the ironworkers finally done, the skeletal structure of the Sears Tower stood triumphantly erect. It was now time to cover the structural steel with skin, which architect Bruce Graham had envisioned as a sleek black facade of anodized aluminum accented by bronze-tinted windows. With the smallest of details secured, in the fall of 1974, just 3.5 years after construction began, the Sears Tower was complete, and Sears, Roebuck & Company became headquartered in the world's tallest building. But unlike the construction of the tower, the future of its largest occupant didn't go according to plan. Although the once seedy area surrounding the Cears Tower was booming, Cears was not. And in 1988, the tower that was built for $175 million in 1974 was put on the market for $1 billion. After only 16 years in their custom-made headquarters, Cears moved out of the tower and into a complex in the Chicago suburbs. With Cears leaving, new owners made a series of renovations to attract new tenants. Improvements to the lobbies were made, as well as to the roof, where 4 high-definition digital television antennas were added. And soon another change occurred. The tower's long reign as the world's tallest came to an end. In 1996, the Petronas Towers in Malaysia edged out the Cears Tower by 33 feet, but only with the help of decorative spires. And in 2004, the erection of the Taipei 101 Tower in Taiwan broke all of the records, except for one.
The Taipei 101 building is certainly considered now the tallest building in the world. It is taller than Cears Tower, roof line. So we will give them credit for that. As far as our antennas, though, we still have the tallest antennas in the world. And those extend 287 feet above the roof line.
But whatever its rank among the lofty monoliths of the world, the Cears Tower is still one of the most highly regarded office buildings in America. Still modern more than 30 years after its construction. Every workday, this vertical city welcomes more than 10,000 people and 100 different businesses. And for years to come, it'll remain a triumph of vision and engineering for those who visit, work inside, or had a hand in its creation.
It's great when I can look out from 10 miles away and see a Cears Tower standing so tall, and it's great to feel that you were a part of it.
This Modern Marvels landmark presentation has been brought to you by the History Channel.